Hello, welcome back to our CSCI 380 web programming and interface. And for this lecture will be introduced for the CSS, okay, with the V8. So we just need to let you know what's the Bootstrap. So Bootstrap is using for the front-end framework for developing a responsive website. So it try to utilize including like HTML, CSS, and then the JavaScript. So mainly it can provide the responsive group system, also have some like predefined components. Also, we can try to create some like customizable like style. That's our purpose to using a Bootstrap. Okay, and to start to install the Bootstrap, you can use the npm install Bootstrap. Of course, we can add the same pass parameter like that dash save. Okay, but for this, of course, we need to create a web project. So right here, let me switch to bit. Seven. Let me see. I need to change my directory to here. Okay. As I said, so we need to start our project. So I will start as initializing with our by default. I'm not going to change anything. Okay, so sometimes if you need to run, or as you know, if I need to start a project, we can use like as well mentioned, because we're taking example, so we are changing to from V8 npx to another one. So we need to create it's called the npm, and then let me show you the page. Okay, and then we add. Okay, so if you need to start your new project, then I recommend you can look at the document. So this one is compared with the before, we use the npx. Right now we're using the vid, and then we use the another command line. So using the npm to create project. So we can choose that either we start as a React project, so we can check, and the source code will be like this. There's some example, and of course, like if you still need some time to switch, then you can let's stay on the npx. But just let you know, because we're doing this one because we already changed our because we add npx or the depreciate. So that's why we need to use it. So you can like create, so as the same, so we need to like create, and then after we create, we can choose the range as the latest. So we try to get the latest one, and this time we just like week 7 lab. Okay, I create a new one, so it's called the week 7 lab. And for this one will be your project name, and I would like to take in a template. Okay, so we have a template. So with the template we will using is the you can switch like we, or we can like use the called the React template. So we can define this one. The template is React like this. Okay, so it will let's like choose the framework, so we can stay on the React, and then just like regular JavaScript. Okay, and we can cd npm install all required package right here. It takes some time to install all the necessary package, and then on the framework, once you're ready, then we can use the run dev. That's how we start our project. And let's go to our, that is the new, so it's this one is an example, like our example thing page. Okay, and also let me open our Visual Studio Code, and we open the project week 7 lab. Okay, so here will be the source code. Even it changed a little bit, but the source code will be look like the same. Okay, so we change it. So on the case, so as we say, we have the use state. Okay, and we just change the content value and set. That's what I need to do. And Bootstrap is help us to handle the CSS. So this time, let me turn on the terminal. open my terminal and npm install. So right here, put it on the side. Let's come back. So I would like to before install, so I would like to introduce the Bootstrap. Okay, we add when you're looking for Bootstrap, we have two tabs. So if you only check the Bootstrap website, it will show like they have one is that we can install it directly. Of course, like actually they have a specific Bootstrap, like only supporting the React. So there are two types, but in this time we are only installing the more like general Bootstrap like we can use. So we can just directly install it npm, and then we can install the Bootstrap, and I will save it to a dependency. This we're going to use. Okay, so after I save it, so you see the package.json file right here. Okay, so you see the just the ignore those like prerequisite data building the React. So you will see the dependency right here. So we have the Bootstrap, the version 5.3.3. So it should be the latest one. Okay, so you're all good. Of course, like we can include as a CDN. So CDN is like you will link it from the server. So depends on project. If you're sometimes working it as an offline, then maybe you better to include it as your own modules. But if you say, yeah, I want to make the file size, make your project smaller, and then it's okay to link with the external source, then of course you can use the CDN. Okay, so either way is okay, depends on project and whether it can support the feed. So sometimes when we looking for some firmware, we need to check if they do support each other. So cross platform like this. And when now, as well as say we are not using the webpack, then when now we switch to the web, okay, it'll be like this. And so far in this moment, we already able to install it. So we already install our Bootstrap. So before we move in, then we need to check like we need to import. Sometimes we need to import the Bootstrap like to the header and then adding that destination. So here's the how can we use the Bootstrap. We cannot say okay after install it, why the CSS? If we look at the source code at .css, where we by default, if in the page, right, let's say if the page right here, I need to use the CSS. So I need to import it. Okay, so you see from here we only define. So if I need to use the Bootstrap, I need to import it like the Bootstrap. Okay, so in something like this, or from this one, the syntax will be from. Okay, so like this. Okay, so we can like that. So depends on how we're going to use it. But here only the example. So let's say if I have the Bootstrap and I want to create that as a basic component, and will be like this. So here the source code and then import it. And in Bootstrap, it comes with different like maybe the navigation bar, menu, some card. Okay, so of course we can look at some like examples. So refer to like some like if you want to create some header, some features, sidebar, and then maybe the drop down footer. So all this we can have example can refer to. Okay, and also sometimes it comes with some icon. If you need to use certain icon, then you click on it and you can refer to the like some you can use the icons like this, then you can use it and maybe the footer. So let me go to the example, and then let's say if we need to create a header. Okay, so if I want to create a header like this one, then you can like copy and then follow the way how we're going to use and create a header. Okay, so this may be a login features, price. Okay, and put a lot. So we have different examples we can choose, and let's go to our document. And how can we start it? Like once we have the JS file, and maybe let me create getting the demo JS from the read. Okay, so once we start, like here's the when we start it, and then we can this one it start with the widget, but we already installed it, created, so we don't have to install one more time. So this time we just need to install the bootstrap. Sometimes if they request some other JS like for other function, then we have to like based on this. If you need to use their own job down or pop over, then you need to install one more. Okay, so let's say after I install this one, then I need to maybe I need the menu. When you see the I is same as the install, so you can use I is okay. And then this time I have a popper. And also I will save it. Okay, like this. Okay, so I'll save it. So later we can use it. Okay, and right here we have the source and then we have the JS. Sometimes people good habit. You see, we will try to create two more extra folder under source. Okay, source we have two more folder. Maybe we got the JS, and then we create another one. Is called the SCSS like this. So if we need to have some like customize, okay, our own JS. And after we this one will be like importing the our bootstrap like together and let it execute it, and we can like run it with the bootstrap, or if we can just import it like this, import all the bootstrap CSS directly. Okay, and I can just like using the bootstrap right here. Or sometimes if we need to use only certain component, okay, so maybe the plugin like this, then we can just import the bootstrap. Like if I want to use the alert or the specific, then I can use it. Or if I want to create a button, then I can like looking for the button. So all this like really based on in the exercise I create one single page form. So if for the form, let's like go to overview, and if I want to create a form like this, okay, let me copy it, and then I try to run it as a create a new file. Okay, so the new file I call the form. Okay, so when I have a form, let me make this a JS. Okay, so I save it as a JS file, save it. Why not in this moment? You see, like there's no input. Okay, the reason why, because we need to import it. Okay, then how can we import it? Just like refer back. Okay, so either we can use the input or just the input everything. Okay. Either way is okay, but of course, like when we create a new form, we need to like, make it consistent. Then how can we make it consistent? Okay, and we sometimes we will like import as the VM, but if you are using the npx to create, so you will see the syntax. So because the JSX will look slightly different from what we using for our npx. So because sometimes I can write mixing two of the language together. So I will see how many you like switch to the widget or stay on the same. So maybe you're looking for the code maybe pretty similar because the syntax like not exactly same. So maybe like all the push-up, if we need to like import of them, maybe we need to like the source and then start SS. So right here, so if we follow the guideline right here, so under source, so we will create a file. Okay, so we are going to use it. Okay, so this one I call the styles.scss. Okay, so we call the follow format, and then we just like follow and install the bootstrap. Okay, and the next under the maybe when I create a new form. Okay, so for the new form, we can install the bootstrap, including our own preset, and then like included that would be like this. Okay, so we're adding our own, and right here. Okay, so if I need to import the form, then I can like import the form from the bootstrap JS destination like right here. Okay, so I can import it right here. Okay, maybe something So this one will be like depends on, but because I'm not using alert in this part, so even I import it, I'm not using it. Okay, and then let's stay on the our structure of JSX. So we need to like create the files. Okay, so I just make it quickly copy. Okay, okay. So I create another called the form, and for this form temporarily I am not using anything, and I just need to keep the form. Okay, I call it as a form. And see. Okay. Be careful. Like when you try to close it, you need to check. Like right here, the structure. They belongs this part. So if we try to like put and then right here. And right now you see, maybe the input is not exist. Then we try right here. So you will see, like maybe if we not execute, then we can fix it later. And here will be the example. We are like, how can we try to use like this source code and use the CSS. For more for the bootstrap, and the later we will go for the details. What we how can we use it? And here the more like example, like because the structure. So right here maybe the we add bill we define as a VS file. So maybe we can like import it from the React like this. Still okay. Okay, and we do have more like different way to create our React, and you will see the structures like mix it together. And I would like you to try. So I give you some example code. So if you stay on the previous if you want to create the navigation bar, then you can try to like copy this one and then create a navigation bar. And if you want to create a code responsive layout, will they have a grid? Okay, so you need to create the example and define like when there's a row, and you can giving the size of different column. Okay, so if you need to like more responsive, like you can define by the percentage, or like 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows, and change it like this. And here's one of the example if you want to adding as a card. Okay, so you can import from the React, and then create a constant value, and the last part you need to export it like this card. Okay, then you can use this value as a card. They comes with a body headers by default. So but all this you need to follow based on your timeline. Okay, check. So as I say, for the grid row column, so if you want to define the 3 columns, then you can using this one like row column like this, and you can change it to more like this like half. So to half like 2, and then maybe if you want to like change a little bit more like 1/3 and 2/3, and then slightly wider. So you can choose the column and column 6, and then change column. Okay, so all these they will give you some example. Depends on how you want to use it, use them, and then you can change it. Okay, and we have so many other components like before in the example, like we need to use the alert, right? So when we have a pop alert, so you can use the alert primary like this, like for this alert, and this kind of the real time like this, like show the live alert. So when can we have the alert, and also we have the buttons. Okay, you're going to like use a lot of buttons, right? So you can choose the buttons you want, and then they have different type. And as a card example, I show you there's a card. Okay, so you can choose like this a card. You can put an image, title, some description, and with the button. So you can like copy and try to apply to yours. Okay. And next, if this time I asking, okay, try to create a form. So how can we integrate with the Bootstrap? Well, this like input field, and then like try to execute it and run it. And of course, this one we try to import with the CSS. Okay, it's like come from import the Bootstrap CSS directly. And also you can try to create your own CSS. Okay, that means that maybe for different page, you can create your own, then also you can like import it. Okay. And here's like some example right here. So if you want to create your own, and then you can change the background navigation bar and change it this way. And also you can detect your media. Okay, so if you are supporting the website, maybe the website, so you can define the maximum width. So what's the um, direction? So if for the narrow, maybe using for the iPad, okay, maybe a tablet or the iPhone, then after you detect the width, it will change the navigation bar to a column. Then it can more strict. It looks like strict. So arrow goes down. And all this like kind of like by the end of this one, always recommend you like always like break down all those UI if you want to use it. So try to create it's a form, if this a set of button, create a back button. And then if you use showing some slides or somehow. So always try to change to a component, okay? And then you can call it. What you need to do, just pass the data and display it. So it's more reusable components, and try to use a stage management library. So for the reduce, we quickly go through like for the widget. So for the larger app, so this I always we're going to do. Because for the lecture, you see it goes like pretty quick and like introduce something to you. But more important is try to let you to like in practice. Okay, so after you import it and try to create the file, then the better practice, like or like sometimes we say like important practice, like try to import them and try to execute. Then you know, okay, how those like source code looks like, or how can we use all these things. And even though most of the time you spend on is like combine and use them, and it's a good practice. Like look at the document, then how can you fix it? Okay, so here will be just like telling you how can you use it, and for the rest, I will let you to try and try to apply the Bootstrap CS on your final project. Like this, what you need to do. And you may ask, like, am I really need to use Bootstrap, or can I use others? Yes, you are totally free to totally fine to use others style. Okay, so maybe provide you maybe use a semantic UI. Yes, you can change it. So anything you think that looks awesome, or you are like combining. Okay, sometimes I need to use the icon from another style provider. Okay, it's okay. You can switch them or like combine both of them. Okay, so this the that will be totally fine to let you to read it, but always like export their documents. Like maybe if you're looking for some advanced features, or how can you adopt it. Okay, because right now there's a two option. So I will before spring break, if like for the assignment, so I do accept like for the React, or if you're able to switch to the week, okay, it's okay. So I will post then later next one. If you see the sample code I post on the in our class, okay. So in the previous I pretty uploaded, and in our some code and research, and then I give you one example. So it's from the React example. So it's a game. So you see even from the website, so we can create a game. So it's a source code, right? If you want to play, so you can choose like game start, and then you can like press it, and it will record a step. So in the later I will let you to modify. So you can download it and try to look at the source code. Actually, it's a pretty long source code, and you're like as a beginning or like as a beginner, maybe always I learn from the sample code. So that's what you can do. Okay, let's say if I win, yes, done. It shows that how can we change the some buttons, change the CSS. I will let you to do that. Okay. And Also, there's some more I also like upload before for the included in the for the router. Okay, for the router having some source code. So I provide right here, and let me change it to routers. Okay, so you see routers right here. We are going to import from the React router DOM, and after we declare like homepage about. Okay, and this will be a page. So here will be I uploaded all the JS code. So right here will be like 3 pages. There's a coming assignment. So after the you have pretty long time, so I will post it so you can do it. How can you integrate? So for the previous you can do will be using the npx, but later. So I allowed you to mix with the for this assignment, so you can mix it with the npx, or you can create read to do your assignment. But I recommend you like to switch it, okay, to the new one, and then based on the source code, so you can switch it. And I would like to this coming assignment is like in really practical. Okay, how can you combine all these like multiple page, integrate with your form, and then how can you apply your bootstrap like the CSS? Okay, you're not limited. I will say, okay, you may be required to put the bootstrap, but of course you can add others UI. Okay, to make your website looks more fancy. And the next is like in our lecture, I introduced the Happy.js. So also you need to create your server, so integrate together. Okay, but part by part, because actually because lecture is really limited, we have limited time, and I cannot cover everything like details. And then later I need to I also going to show you how some syntax we're using for the React. Okay, so it will be the next part. So at least you will learn something really basic. So like just like what we like move on. So okay, because when you using Node.js, actually it's like based on the JavaScript. So I try to show you something like more advanced on the JavaScript, and also some ES6 features we're using. And at least you're able to modify the source code and create your own function. Okay. Always like in this moment, in this stage, maybe you just like refer to some sample code and then copy it and try to integrate to make a page, create a page. And later you need to use the, as well as use the router, the sample code, and to create the multiple page. And how can you like click on the menu? Okay, let's say if you're using the bootstrap and the bootstrap to create to like switching the navigation bar, you can use the navigation bar like this. Okay, then you can when you click on it, then how can you switch your page or create a drop down? So any way like you can do, then you can refer to it, or sometimes you can create a tab or like this, like when you're switching, and then you can create a tab. So you have so many options, and just go to the bootstrap and copy the source code and try to create a page that looks nice. Okay, and then we move on. So here this part will be about the language itself. Okay, so because we are using the Node.js, and Node.js is applying on the React.js, also the Happy.js, the API server. And so when we connect with our the NoSQL, okay, so even we split our code because for different framework, we're using JS, but fundamental for something is like we are using as the same, okay, structure style, but sometimes you see the format slightly not the same in different framework. So that's why we need to like learning different style to fit based on those framework. Okay, so one thing, the features we see a lot like from all the previous example is called the arrow function, and so we also have something called temperature rows and then the modules. Okay, and you will see something when it comes to asynchronous, like we return as like promise and then async and await. You will see. So we can you see the server, API server, we have the async await, or when we try to fetch the data, okay, so use this effect. So we're using async, okay, or with the reduce. So we are going to use, okay. Also, there's some extra things like to tell you is about the client-side storage option. So include the local storage index DB and some caching like locally on the website. For the arrow function, so we provide the consistent like syntax to write the function expression. So start with the basic beginning. So it will bind the value like this and then make them useful. So when you create a constant function, you can use the constant. We are not allowed to change it, or sometimes we use the let. Okay, so we create a function. Equal sign will be passing the syntax with the bracket that comes with the parameter. So we pass a parameter x and y, and with the arrow. Okay, so for this one, we'll be adding the x and y together. So once you like using a console log and add them together, adding arrow and then 2 and 3, so the output will be 5. So here's called the arrow function. Okay, and for the temporary little is to help us to have multi-line strings or string interpolation. So population, so like this, like let's say if we have the name, so once we pass the name, so when you see the quotation, so this one will be right next to your key numbers 1. So you see the code is not like the same. Okay, so you see double quote, single quote, and like this. Okay, so let's say for the multiple, so what you see like is a double quote, single quote, and this one is just like this. Okay. Oh, because some student they just make some, they say, oh, why isn't it doesn't work? Just be careful for this one. The little, so if you need to pass a parameter, then you need to use it. Or if you want to put it as a multiple line, then also it's okay. So multiple line is okay. So depends on you're going to use, and it's pretty common. We use this one. Okay. And for the modules is we're going to like import the files. Let's say we have the two files, right? We have the main JS file, so it's called entry point, and we can like import it, called a math, and then for the calculation. And how it looks like, if in the main we can import it, called the add and subtraction function. So this one, so you can export. So it's kind of similar idea. Right here, you will see let's say we have a form, have a function, and we will export it. Okay, we export this form. So it's the same way. So we export it constant, and then have a arrow function. So you see there are two arrow function, add and subtract, and pass the parameter A and B. So either add them together and minus A minus B. And once you import, because it's like we're from the math.js, so you can like use these two functions and pass the parameter. So it's called the modules. Okay, so the same idea. So when you are working on your project or importing the other function components, so actually we're doing this one. So when we say we try to create reuse components, and we are better to do it in this part. Okay, and we have different file imported that we can reuse it. Because when we are doing, we're not only maybe the form is going to use it, maybe in other, maybe the menu or the other pages going to use it. So you just need to import it and pass that parameter, and that's it. So it's much more useful. And for the asynchronous programming, so including certain called promise. Okay, so it's the pretty clear way to handle asynchronous operation. So compared to the callback, maybe it's the first time you to see that was a callback. So before when we waiting a callback, that means that after we finish the function, we have to wait for the return. You know, because there sometimes let's say if you need to fetch your data from the API server, it may take 1 second, 2 seconds. Okay. Sometimes we use the callback. That means we need to this part is you need to have a idea like knowledge about what's the OS they handle, or like when they change, like they have a stack, they'll execute, right? So if we are running the program, is they're running in this way, and so like it's a state for every statement run line by line, right? So if we are trying to sending a request to API server, it won't wait. Okay, to receive the data, it will already process to next line. Okay, next statement. Then how can you get the input? Either you can use a callback, then it will wait until we receive the content, then it will execute, or we can use the called the synchronize await to wait for it. Okay, or the reduce of course right now we can get the result. So this one is called a sync and wait syntax. So give a way to work with the promise. So it makes it more like readable and easier to maintain this idea. One thing is called like fetch data. So right here we have a promise. Okay, resolve, reject, and then we set the time out right here function. So we try to receive the data. Okay, constant like data resolve, that means we are okay. So we receive the data, and reject, that means okay if we have some error to fetch the data. Okay, something like this. Okay. And this is a promise, and for the asynchronous time free function, then we can create, okay, we can create a asynchronous time function right here. Okay, it's an arrow function, so you see it comes up. It's an arrow function, and then we try to use the try and catch. It's a good practice. I always use a try and catch, and we try to receive the data. So we call it await and fetch data. It's a function that try to fetch the data. So we use the asynchronous function and then use the await to receive the data. So once we execute this line, the statement, so we will wait until we receive the data. Then we put it to data, this variable. If we don't put await, so after the OS, the system executed this part, it will automatically go to log data. So you always get a null value, or if that memory address contains other value, it will have some other value if you don't put the await. So here's the tricky part. So remember, if you sometimes you didn't receive any content, it always shows no, but you see, okay, the connection is working. So we test with the API server. You remember my previous video, I used the test API or like test data to tell, okay, the server is working. Why I didn't receive any content? That means maybe you didn't wait for wait time. Okay, so here's the tricky part. And we talk about the client side. So sometimes when you download the data, especially on the website, we don't want to always to store, or sometimes I want to store for the username or some information on your, then you maybe use the called the local storage. So allow you to save it. You can use called the local storage, say item. If you know something more on the list, so you say like you pass the username and then with the value, okay, key and value. So you can use the get item function, pass your key, then you will have a return the value. If you want to remove it, you can just say remove item. Okay, pretty straightforward. And another one is called the index DB. It's called the storage on the client side. So it's a low level API for the client side storage. If you have a significant amount of structured data, that will be better. I recommend you can use the index DB. So this one you can open the like similar database one, and then you on the upgrade the need, okay, create event, and then you can create this event, target will be the result. Okay, so this one assigns a DB. Okay, so you can use this DB to create the object, and you can pass the, they say create a user, key path, you keep passing the ID. So the store the object store, then you can create the index. Okay, for index will be the name, and then maybe you can define, say you need, okay, maybe false. So here's the example. You may be not really used for your project, but at least you know, okay, if you need to save something on your web, that means you're taking your local on the client side, then you can use the index DB. Okay, but most of the time for the faster storage, maybe we use the local storage. So it depends on your application. Okay, and caching is the pretty we say essential for improving the web application performance. Or sometimes like it will allow us like if sometimes offline we can still like capability like for like serve the kind. Okay, so you need to create like in the JS we need to create called the event listener. So we need to install it and then create. Okay, so once you're able to create the cache, because the V1 is the name, so it's our first version of the cache, and then you maybe want to add maybe your index files or style file, a script file as a basic. Okay, when you pass it, then you are able to create this one is cached. So for this one, like if we need to create a app, so we can come with the called a service worker, right? So service worker, so it's in the beginning it's like disabled by default, so you need to like enable it. So you can like change it, go to the source index file, like this one in the npx, but why not this one? So if you look at our source file right here, so we have our main.js, because the names like it not the same, but because it shows because the different package. So this one is the VM on the React.js. If you have some question, if you cannot search it, like modify, then I can provide to you, like how can we change it? Okay, and in the vid, okay, this one, and it can change from the registration from unregistered to register. Then you're all good. And for the caching, I will you get all the source code like for this page, and if you want to like copy and use and follow, of course, like some of them also like will be open online, so you can like download it, refer to it. Okay, so if you didn't see it, you can create your own code service worker file in the source, and then add the caching logic will be like this. So quickly go through is like the caching, and if you need to test it, so you can try to after you start your VM app and go to the localhost 3000 depends on what you define. If you use Vite, okay, so it will look not the same. Okay, so this one will be 5173. Okay, so if you stay on the VM npx, then will be localhost like 3000. So it depends on which one using, and then you can check, go to the developer tools, and then look for the service worker. Okay, so you see the service worker will be registered. Once you register, then you can switch like to offline from the network. Then you're able to see, okay, the cache version on the app. And then you need to be considered something like versioning. And when you need to change the content of the app, so maybe you can like increase, like, so you want to have an increment of the cache name. So to force the service to like cache a new file is possible. And then for the strategy, so it depends on your need. So you can implement some different caching strategy. Okay, stairwell or like cache first, whatever. So that is, and sometimes you need to update your cache as without the user's need. Okay, sometimes you need to, some user need to like refresh it manually, but sometimes you can have a certain logic. So to update the cache and then notify the user, let them know, okay, the cache update. Because here still sometimes will be the conflict between the user, because sometimes the content or the update, because the caching, the content, it doesn't update. Okay. So that's why you need to consider if you want to use the cache. Okay. And one more, the last part, sometimes we see called dynamic list. So it including called the destruction, like we need to have the destructuring, like this part will be, like we need to have access like ID, name, and description directly from the item object in the map function. And then in the map function, so we can call on the like item array, then we can transfer them to the JSX element. And in each list of them, they should have their own unique key. So they're based on their ID. So usually, and when we access it, we have some called the template tools. Okay, so it will use for the JSX. You see the format, the JSX. So it will be right here. So format to output a string. And also for our dynamic list, including the arrow function too. So we are using the arrow function for the syntax, and then we have a spread operator. So it can help us to copy or merging the arrays of objects. Okay, and if you didn't, also we can add the default parameter. Like if the user didn't pass anything, we can use that the default parameter for our function. So when we define it and passing it. So far, we'll be like quickly go through all this syntax, let you have some like basic idea. So know where's the JS, some like popular features. So right here actually is only part of it, but I try to address, like emphasize, because we are using is like based on the ES6 and new one. Okay. In the later lecture, I try to like in the lecture you see, we cover more like details, like even how to use some JS function, like how can we create. Okay, for more details, slightly overlap a little bit, but you will know more. Like also some asynchronous programming is important. Okay, and also the client-side storage. That's what we think is essential. And so far, that's it. Will be the everything for the week 7. Lots of things to pick up, and then because unluckily that's like it's a good experience, like telling if we're using the NPX right now, we need to switch it like during the lecture. But I'm okay, like because even though it's depreciate, but in the lecture, so you are I would recommend, as well as I recommend, you can stay on the beat. Like if you want to use the new one or like depreciate, you can use the NPX. So it depends on your need. Okay, but I recommend try to use the new one. And that's it for today's course. Thank you.